Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: Redditors who were born deaf. Do subtitles like dogs barking and tense music help even if you've never heard them? What do you imagine them to be like? I'm deaf and it helps in certain contexts. If it's just a shot of a farm and it says dog barking, it's out of context, so it's like whatever. But if it says dog barking to warn the person, it definitely helps in that context. It also depends on how good the subtitles are. Netflix is superb at doing subtitles, but cable TV is that good, so by the time the subtitles come up it's already a different scene or different convo. I love Netflix's awesome subtitles. My auditory processing and listening comprehension suck, so I prefer TV and movies with subtitles. Netflix is way better than most. ADHD too. Subtitles are awesome for staying focused on a show. Yes, they help. Movies, TV shows, games, etc. use sound to convey emotions or danger or information and so on. By not subtitling those, deaf people miss out on a lot. I was playing the Fable franchise recently, and apparently there's gargoyles in the game that insult you and goad you into shooting them or something. I would have never known if I hadn't read about it, because those insults aren't subtitled. I didn't even know gargoyles were a thing until I was nearly done with Fable 2. To answer your question, I don't imagine them as sounds. That's impossible to do. I imagine the emotions they were meant to convey. Dogs barking means there's something disturbing them. Tense music means shit is getting real. Other things like phone rings tells us what noise the people in the scene are responding to. Subtitling everything 100% helps. I'm deaf. It definitely brings the story to life. Deaf people are incredibly visual. We want as much information as possible. If the storyteller is insisting on certain sounds or music to evoke feelings, then I would also like to know and have those feelings, too. Edit. Holy moly, the conversations y'all are having under this are amazing. What's crazy is while I read your comment, I hear my voice in my head reading the words you wrote. I don't suppose that works for you at all, does it? I'm not trying to be ignorant, I'm just curious. Also, I can't help but feel sad at your comment because I never realized how someone might feel left out over things I never think to consider. Deaf parents here. I've asked my mom if she has an inner voice because I've walked in at her absent-mindedly staring into space while signing away slightly with one hand. She has a picture of herself in her mind while signing when she's using that inner voice. Of course it may be different for other deaf folks, but that's how my mom explained that to me. My old friend's mom was deaf. I asked her once and she kinda shrugged and said, I imagine ominous music to be like when my kids sneak up on me. I really hope this comment moves to the top, most helpful one so far. Upvoting is the general process to accomplish this goal. I'm moderately hearing impaired, but not deaf, so this doesn't quite answer your question, but I thought I'd chime in. I really appreciate these kinds of subtitles, as they can add context and help communicate something non-visual that the show or movie creator wanted the audience to pick up on. The sound of a dog barking may be the only hint they give that a family owns a dog, which becomes a plot point later. Tense music can prime the audience, me, to be on edge despite a scene otherwise seeming calm and relaxed. Mad respect to whoever's in charge of Netflix's subtitles, because they are absolutely top-notch. Like if you have a character sitting in the kitchen reading a book, and suddenly they yell "shut up." It would have been nice if the subtitles had dogs barking beforehand. I yell "shut up" out of the blue to let the ghosts around me know I'm tired of their shit. I'm deaf and it helps. I haven't heard a dog bark, but I understand why a dog barks and combine that with the body language of a dog and the scene makes more sense. Do you have an opinion on what is music? I can wrap my head on how I would try to imagine what music sound like if I never heard anything in my life. Music is like the tactile vibrations you feel on your fingers, except it has color, warmth, and depth. I read on Reddit once before deaf people don't even realize erections make a noise. That's not the worst part either. They don't know how loudly your dick shouts when you come. Isn't that why we wear condoms? To keep the noise down. I am a hearing, married woman in my 30s and my dumb ass paused for a second thinking, wait, what? It's true. Your husband probably hides the noise from you. I personally hide the sound of my erections by, whenever I'm about to get one, I open my mouth and scream at the top of my lungs. Nobody can even tell. I've mentioned this on Reddit before. I was allowed to stay the night at my high school boyfriend's house, but we had to sleep in different rooms. So I would sleep on the top bunk of his bed and he would sleep on the sofa. Anyway, the important part is that his little bro is deaf. He was about junior high age. The first time I stayed the night, something woke me up. Turns out little bro on the bed under me was vigorously rubbing one out, and he didn't seem to know that he was making noise and that it might wake me up. 0_0. In junior high it probably would have happened regardless of his hearing impairment. For any deaf people reading this, it sounds like a slide whistle. Yeah, deaf people know what a slide whistle sounds like. I've been wondering this lately also. I started using closed captions so I don't have to have the TV volume blasting all the time, and now I'm addicted to closed captions. Indistinct chatter. I know, right? There's something about subtitles that tails the pressure off of watching TV, and I don't have to miss any dialogue because the music is too loud. I have the problem that my eyes are subconsciously drawn to the subtitles because they have a high contrast, and I miss a lot of what's going on screen because I stare at the subs all the time. ITT, not a single deaf person and a bunch of stupid assholes speculating. It's 'cause deaf people can't read. It's hard to argue with that assessment. Every Askreddit thread ever. I used to work in subtitling and both my parents are completely deaf, so I know a bit about this. Subtitles like dog barking do help, as they are usually included if they are plot relevant, hence they can follow it better, and understand why someone looked up from their book in the show or whatever. Tense music and the like does not really help much beyond telling them the mood of the scene, as they have no real conception of what sound is, which answers your second question. My mom compares it to trying to explain color to a blind person. The things that confuse me most is when it says something like, Vivaldi's mandolin concerto plays. That's so useless even compared to tense music plays. I actually like this as a partially hearing person because I like immediately being able to identify a piece I think I might know but I'm not sure, or if I want to know the name of a song I just discovered, or name of a song I didn't know the name of at all. I wear bilateral cochlear implants, so I don't think I completely qualify to answer, but I will say that sometimes I miss important details in the sounds and music in TV shows and movies, and it does really help to set the tone of the movie for me and understand things I wouldn't otherwise if I hadn't heard the specific thing. Do you get trouble from the deaf community because of your implants? I used to work for a relay company, Reddittors 6262 MGA, and they told us that the deaf community was kinda hostile to the implants because having them implied that not being able to hear was a bad thing. Honestly, I'm only 19 and I went to hearing schools my entire life, so I haven't had much exposure to the deaf community. However, I am aware that it is controversial, but it was done when I was a baby, so I didn't have much say and it was what the doctors recommended. There's definitely a medicalizatio of the deaf community that I don't agree with, but I also believe in freedom of choice, and if someone wants to get CIs or not, it's up to them. I've never really got this stance they have. It's like telling someone who was born with no legs that they should drag themselves along the floor rather than use a wheelchair or prosthetics. It may provide helpful context. Like if said noise is relevant to the plot even if they don't know what it sounds like, it may help with overall comprehension of the storyline to know that at this time a dog barked. A random "shut up" is way better if it has dogs barking before it. Hi. I'm deaf but I actually knows what they sound like. I listens through vibrations. Like Toph did with her earth bending in Adler, so I know most of basic sounds, and I always appreciate seeing subtitles like those examples for contexts. 'Cause it can be harder for me to decipher sounds from the television. Hello Redditors who are hearing impaired, I'd like to ask, how do jump scares affect you? A big part of it is sudden loud noises that accompanies the scary imagery. Since you don't hear the building tense music nor the sudden loud one does that take away from you experiencing jump scares. Many at-home movie watchers will tell that the key to not being as scared is to turn down, if not mute, the volume of a scary movie when you know the jump scare is coming. If the jump scare is also very visual, then it can jump scare you. But I think it's still less than normal. Not completely deaf. I was born deaf and wore hearing aids most of my growing years. I could hear soft sounds that would be loud to you. Once, long ago, I was invited by a cousin to watch Jaws with him. I thought, why not, it's not that bad. Needless to say, I was 100% wrong. The opening scene did it for me. I couldn't watch the rest of the movie. In fact, I refused to stay inside the house while he watched the rest of the movie. It was the tension, the music, the scene just perfect, and I couldn't handle it. Once I saw the shark, I was out the door. Side note, in high school, I got a cochlear implant and that legit changed my life. Still can't stand scary /horror movies though. Not deaf or impaired, but my dog is. She jump scares much more easily because she has no oral cues that anything is coming. You're just there all of a sudden, so she is very jumpy. As a result, I make sure to make lots of big movements as I approach her from the side or behind. She'll catch my shadow or my arms waving with her peripheral vision, and that way, she knows I'm coming and won't be scared. For the same reason, I also have to wake her with touch, and do it gently. Now, her brother is a different story. When she doesn't hear the car and wake up, he'll give her a doot with his snout, and she'll jump up.